Right, at long last, lovely people, I am going to introduce you to our next guest and the company that has very kindly sponsored this health hub for us, along with Zero Spike and Augmenting NAC. Andy Smith is the founder of a company called Cellar 8, and we are so honoured to have them here today, not only as a sponsor, but to bring their, now, you say either, I say either, PEMF or PEMF beds. Mm-hmm. So I'd never heard PEMF before, but it's a lot easier than PEMF beds. Yeah. So Andy's going to give us the correct pronunciation. And, you know, now we've talked about the water in our body. Now we know it's just a computer that we can control. This is the simplest way I have found to control my water in my body. It's a friend of mine, Ellie Mackay, described it as grounding on speed. And that's exactly what it is. And I am just bloody loving mine. Andy Smith, tell us everything about it.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so
thank you.
Thank you for the introduction. I know we're running a little bit behind today, and so I did say I'll squeeze it and try and get us back on track. So we'll see what we can do. I know I'm here from Cellar 8. My brand is Cellar 8, but I try not to be too brand orientated. Like, my real mission is educating people on PEMF. It's been my mission for the last 13 years. I'm wearing a New Med t-shirt there, so I've got kind of two hats. My New Med t-shirt is like my education on PEMF. Cellar 8 is the brand that I created that we'll come to later. Any questions throughout, just shout as well, or chuck your hand up. Talking about PEMF and talking about biohacks, and I really doesn't like the word biohack, but it's kind of a good way to describe different types of biohack that people use. In here, show of hands of people that have used an ice bath or jumped in a cold lake. Yeah.
More than that if you have.
Red light therapy, if anyone tried red light before in the past. And then PEMF therapy. 2, 3. So this is my mission. This is the problem. Red light therapy is great. We actually sell red light devices. Ice bath, I do it. I think it's great. PEMF therapy for me has the most benefits, 10 times all these other biohacks. It's just so underutilized. So it's why I'm really passionate about educating people on what it does, how it works, and why it shouldn't be the first thing that people reach for, not the last thing. Just a brief introduction to me. I was on Philly's podcast quite recently, so if you want the full story, check out that episode. Really good episode. So just how I got into this and why I'm doing this. 13 years ago, I was working for my dad's company. It was a sales medical business, flying around the globe, burning the candle at both ends. I got sick. I was in Australia at the time, and I flew back. I had this pain in my stomach, and I just didn't know what it was. By the time I got back to the UK, it was intense. Got into NHS, 5 o'clock on a Friday night, full of drunk people, and they said, come back Monday, because the surgeons will be here then. Here's some painkillers. So what they didn't notice is that there was an infection bubbling underneath in my stomach, and by the time I got to Monday, getting to the NHS, getting to the hospital, I actually passed out in the car park, so they had to kind of rush me into surgery before it all turned into sepsis. So luckily they did save my life, but it could have gone a bit better, to be honest. Having an infection, allowing it to get to that stage, it just wasn't great. But the problem for me, and I do owe the NHS my life in terms of they opened me up, they got it out, and they fixed me in that instant. But afterwards was the antibiotics issue. 6 months worth of antibiotics. It was just one after the other. And this infection, because of the way they went in, they had to leave it open to heal. And it just kept getting reinfected constantly. And it was just, try this one. And I was like, proper guinea pig to it. One of the exhibitions we'd been to for the medical business that I was working for at the time, we introduced, there's a German guy, a kooky guy called Gregor. He introduced me to this therapy called PEMF therapy. And at the time he said it just does everything. fixes, anything from cancer to headaches. It's like so broad. And we were just too busy to entertain it at the time. He was looking for someone to sell it in the UK. So I couldn't find anything to fix this issue. My dad said to me, why don't you try one of these PEMF devices? So we imported it in for Germany. I got it in. It took a long time to get here. Customs agents didn't know what it was. It was expensive. It was clunky. So it was a bit of a palaver getting it in. I'll come to what it looks like and how it works. But for that device, it was like a yoga mat. You lay on it and it creates a magnetic field around the body and it helps the body to heal itself. And lo and behold, after a week, the infection disappeared. So I was like, okay, maybe it was coincidence. A week later, everything had healed up and I went to see my surgeon and he said, what have you done differently? I said, well, I've tried this PEMF therapy mat. And he said, great, whatever it is, do it. See you later. I actually had some leaflets with me and everything, and he just didn't really want to know anymore. That really triggered something in me. It actually angered me. I went in there and I thought I'd found the cure to cancer, and he just dismissed me. What I did after that was I kind of took a decision to leave the family business and start a company called NewMed, which was making PEMF therapy accessible in the UK. So I didn't want people to go through the experience I went through in terms of difficult to get hold of the product, difficult to source them, difficult to get it through customs, not understanding how it works because there's all different frequencies involved. And that's where NewMed was born. This was me, a little bit more fresh-faced, more hair for some reason. And this was the mat that I used, and this was our first exhibition we went to. And we slowly became a one-stop shop for PEMF devices because I was finding that PEMF devices are a little bit limited for certain people. So you'd have to get a higher intensity one for other people, or you'd have to get one that had a different range for some people. So we ended up being a bit of a one-stop shop in the UK for multiple different suppliers. We then found that that's where Celerate was born. We launched Celerate about 2 years ago, and Celerate was using my father's medical manufacturing business to build our own PEMF device. And through the 13 years of research that I've now got, we kind of created products that suit as much as we possibly can. So I'm getting PEMF at the moment. So this is a localized device, and this powers our full body mats. So right now I've got like a 2 meter magnetic field around me, energizing my cells. So we wanted it to be portable. So the first thing I did was make it portable. I wanted to power the full mats, which we've done, and make it easy to use. The frequencies on these devices were 1 to 1,000, and you had to choose a frequency for a condition, and it just was insanely complicated. It actually works much better if you use the right frequencies at the right time of day. So same as the brain states. You've got higher frequencies in the morning, lower frequencies in the evening, and that will also protect your circadian rhythm. So we've just introduced 3-4 simple programs on the device: morning, evening, night, and meditation. So it's like they'll run all the frequencies that you need for those time of days. So we made a really nice, easy product to use. So, you guys will know more than anyone, we've never been more connected or more disconnected from nature in terms of we're connected to Australia. We're like a 3-second phone call from speaking to someone there now. Yet we're so disconnected from nature. And we wouldn't actually need PEMF technology or red lights or all this different technology if we weren't doing what we're doing right now in a room it would be full of Wi-Fi if the Wi-Fi was working. We've all got rubber soles on our feet. We've all drive metal cars. We're all in buildings. We're so disconnected from nature now that there is a need, unfortunately, for this type of technology to almost bring the nature back, but in a different type of way. If I could get everybody, one of the things, people come to us and say, right, I want to buy a PEMF device and I'm sick because of this. And a lot of the time I say to them, how much time are you spending outside? How much time are you actually seeing the sun? How much time are you putting your feet on the grass and all these sort of things? Right, come back in a month when you've started integrating this first, because you need to work on the foundations before you start introducing all these things. there's no point in taking hundreds of supplements if your cells aren't prepared to use those. Realistically, products like PEMF now, you can use it. I use it every morning. So I get up, I get myself on a PEMF mat for 10, 20 minutes under a red light device, which we'll come to. And that's me done for the day. Philly mentioned it as grounding on steroids. It does those effects of grounding quite quickly. So we can almost do that and then go about our day. But realistically, I will try my best in the summer to get up and go and do some grounding. But right now, it's not ideal because it's very cold. We live in a country where, unfortunately, this time of year, everybody feels like crap because you're just not seeing the sun, you're not getting outside. So introducing things like this can really help, especially in these months. Why magnetism matters? Because people don't understand that magnetism is an essential element. It's like oxygen, it's like light, it's like anything that we would die without. If you took away magnetism, we would also die. The Earth has its own magnetic frequency, which is the Schumann resonance, 7.8 hertz. And we're connected to that. We do have it in here a little bit, but nothing like we would when we're outside or on the beach. What they were finding, so where this technology really came, like Nikola Tesla designed electromagnetic fields originally for communications. But it wasn't until NASA got involved that people are like, oh, NASA's involved in this technology now. What is it? What does it do? And why did they get involved in this technology? Because they were finding that when they took people up into space for 3 months and brought them back down again, they had problems like osteoporosis and all sorts of conditions that linked to a lack of magnetic fields. So they did their own research into whether they can start supporting the astronauts either while they're in space, before space, or after space with electromagnetic fields to keep them sane, to keep them healthy. And that just shows that if you put someone up in space for a year, it's like taking oxygen away from them, but just a lot longer. What is a PEMF? It stands for pulsed electromagnetic field. When we say EMF, everybody goes, oh no, EMFs are bad. An EMF is an electromagnetic field, and there's a range. So if you've seen the light spectrum, it's a bit like that. We are exposed to 7.8 hertz electromagnetic field naturally, and we're exposed to other ones in nature. They're healthy, they're very good for you. That's what you need. An EMF has got a bad name because we now use it in 5G, like 50 million gigahertz. It's just a complete different spectrum. Or 50 million hertz, sorry, 5 gigahertz. These are unnatural, they're absorbed by the body, they create heating, and they're linked to all sorts of nasties like cancers and tumours and all that sort of thing. So that's where the difference is. These are an EMF, they're natural EMFs, they're a lot better for your body. How they're delivered, a lot of the time you'll see these mats. So this is our one exploded with the copper coils in it. So this is where my little useful copper coil comes in. All PEMF mats, unfortunately, aren't made the same as any product, and within the last year or two, we have seen, eureka moment for me, because finally PEMF is becoming a bit of a trend and a bit of a biohack that people are actually taking serious. The problem with that is it means China gets involved, and we get really cheap, nasty products on the market. If you get a PEMF device, your coil really should look something like this, or a flatter version of this. There's a lot of devices out there that use cheaper ferrite rods that are used in like communications, in radios and things like that. It's there to create a magnetic field, but it's not there to create a therapeutic one. So just be careful if you do go out and buy a PEMF mat. I don't always say to people, buy my mat. I can tell people there are some other really good mats on the market. Just avoid some of the other ones. I don't name. I could list them all off. There's some massive brands in the UK that are selling PEMF mats that are terrible. So just be aware. PEMF is really good for me, and this is one of the reasons that it's so effective, is because it runs through the entire body. So red light therapy, amazing, love it. But it has a certain penetration depth, so you're not really going to get treatment of the bone as such with red light therapy. PEMF mats. So there's a magnetic field coming from here. The closer you get to it, the stronger it is. And then the same if I do it around here. So from my back, it's coming straight through the body. So you can see that it's me being in the way isn't affecting the magnetic field at all. So it's a really unique technology that you can sit on the sofa and get therapy, and it will treat the body on the cellular level, which we'll come to. It's really un-Instagrammable, which is really annoying because it's just really difficult product to sell. I mean, somebody sitting on one of these on a sofa watching Love Island is not interesting, but what's happening in the cells is incredible. Someone jumping in an ice bath with, you know, tighty whities on is interesting, and it's sellable, and that's why so many people have an ice bath, but they don't consider stuff like this. It's been a bugbear for me for a long time. We're trying to find ways to make it more sexy, but it's, yeah.
Love Islanders to just lie on it.
Well, we actually have Marlon Anderson from one of the. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's just it's a difficult technology to sell, but when people understand what it is and what it does, it sells itself. Just talk about the products a little bit. You've got a difference when you look into PEMF. There tends to be categorized in low intensity and high intensity. This would be considered like a low intensity device. So I can't feel this magnetic field. You lie on a mat, you can't feel anything. High intensity is a real high energy, and it really does knock you in the back. We've got the low intensity and the high intensity in the room in the corner. So if you guys want to have a little play after this, you can feel the difference. To give an example, our full body low intensity device is designed to be used at home. It's around £2,000. This one's £12,000, the high intensity, more clinical version. And there is no need for you to buy this £12,000 one. Like, anybody that comes to me and says, I want to buy it at home, it's just a waste of money. You don't need it. If you want it in a clinic, that's fine, because you'll be seeing people once a week. That's fine. You don't actually, what it does to the cells in the body doesn't make a huge difference. The Americans are the one driving the high intensity devices because they want to feel something strong. They want it, you know, and it's, but when you look at what happens to the blood, which is what all the blood testing guys are doing, it's the same thing. You get the same response from the low and the high intensity. So don't waste your money unless you've got a clinic and you want to treat people and you're only seeing them once a week. That's when you'll go for the high intensity one. How does it influence the body? It's recharging the cells through ATP, so it's a real good way of charging the body to enable the body to do what it needs to do. Reduces inflammation and supports faster recovery, improves circulation, detoxification, oxygen delivery, calms the nervous system, promotes deeper sleep, prepares the body for performance best. The PEMFs are actually not doing a lot other than what it's doing to your body. Your body is doing the rest, and I can't emphasize that enough. So, you know, the body is healing you from all these different traumas. The PEMF therapy is just giving you the tools it needs to do that. And how does it do that? This was a dark field microscope that I bought myself when we were testing the devices to see what it actually does, because I don't want to sell anything that doesn't work. I was planning on getting some chronically sick people to try and test their blood, and this is what I wanted to see. But I thought what I'd do is I'll test it, make sure it works first, and I'll test it myself. And that was my blood, which I was not expecting to see. What I found out was the reason I got a blood sample like this was because it was 4 p.m. I've been sitting on my arse all day, and I'd been in my office, which I've got 3 screens, and I've got a Wi-Fi router sitting behind me. And that's what it did to my blood. So it's another thing for everybody to understand. The toxic world we're living in is just insane. I will normally get this sort of sample when I get up in the morning. So, you know, it is a process throughout the day that you can get a bad sample. But this was 4 p.m. and this was 4:10 when I sat on our mat for 10 minutes. So immediately you can see the voltage of the cells change completely. So they start to repel each other. A bit like putting magnets together at school. They stick together, turn them around, the charge, they start to pull apart. Traveling around the body like this, you're going to get more oxygen delivery, you're going to get nutrients in and out. Your blood wants to look like this, really, rather than the other one. And these effects will tend to last a minimum of about 8 hours. So this is why PEMF device is designed to really be used every single day. So it becomes part of your routine. Same as if we would have just got up and gone outside, you know. These effects happen with grounding, but you tend to have to do it for a little bit longer to get that kind of response. The lovely ladies doing the blood testing in the corner there, did this. This is Philly's blood. So if you want to watch this episode, they did it on the Wellness Way podcast. It was such an amazing episode. It's so useful to see exactly what's happening. When I said to the guys doing the blood testing, like, oh, I just want to show the cells separating, they're like, that's so basic, and like, you know, this is what we want to see. So what they were able to show is that a much better oxygen delivery from before and after. So the blood is showing that it's more oxygenated. And this was a reduction in inflammation. So I believe the white is more inflammation. And then after the PEMF, the sample showed a lot smaller inflammation. So this is just from a 10-minute or 20 minutes, I think you did.
It was quite, I'm just going to just say it was quite extraordinary, this experience, because I'm reasonably healthy. I'm not perfect. I live on the 80-20 rule because life is very short. And I believe you need to have lots of fun in your life as well. But what these blood tests proved to me was, you know, it was one of those, and I talk about them quite a lot on my healing journey where I had the what the fuck moment. And this was one of them, and I just thought something that looked so simple, and I didn't really feel that much, if I'm honest. You know, you're right.
Yeah, and you'll see from them,
yeah. Intensity, because they like to know it's happening. But I just sat there. And then my bloods just completely trained. Now this is the dry blood testing, but on the live blood testing, which you can do here and watch it, it was just like that movie, The Meaning of Life, where they've got all the sperm on the screen and that song every sperm is singing. And my blood, which had been completely stagnant in the first live blood test, just started moving, and it was just kind of dancing. And I'm like, oh my God. And I am just so thrilled. Like every morning, just 20 minutes on it. I know I only did 10 for this because we had to get back to filming, but I do 20 minutes in the morning. The other night I couldn't sleep, and I went and brought it up into bed. So I've got a question to ask you before I let you continue.
Yeah.
Is it okay to sleep on it? Because it was a 2-hour program.
Yeah, it is. You can sleep on it, but actually the sleep program is designed to put that under your pillow to the side.
Right.
Because it's designed to change the brain frequencies rather than, so the idea of the sleep mode was to put you to sleep and to hold you in that sleep. So using that on the pillow is more advisable than using the mat.
I didn't text you at 4 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
so I bet you're really grateful.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll let
The
you
only
finish
time
your
people use the
presentation
mat in
and then
bed-
we'll do a Q&A.
The only time people use the mat in bed really is if they just don't have time to use it in the day. Then it's like, all right, chuck it in your bed, put a topper on it or something, and just get it while you're sleeping. But yeah, the night mode is really for just getting you sleep. But that was what Billy was talking. This is a live, obviously you can't really tell from these images, but if that was moving, you would see the left-hand side would be very sticky and not doing a lot, and this side would be darting around and moving. I'll kind of gloss over a little bit of this next section because it's more about how you can use these PEMF therapy with other hacks. So I don't know will you guys have access to these slides? Will this be sent round to everybody that comes in?
It's up on the, we can do, yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So I won't go too in depth with this, but again, coming back to people, you know, if you're using a red light therapy device, like you can use PEMF. So PEMF therapy doesn't target one system, like ice bath targets the nervous system. Like this is targeting every single cell of the body, trillions of cells. So it's something that is just, you know, profound in what it's targeting, what it's actually affecting. Using it with other biohacks, I call them. You know, for me, one of the most effective is red light therapy because you don't tend to get this. You get benefits from red light therapy and you get benefits from PEMF therapy, but it doesn't equal 2, it equals 3 because you end up getting these synergistic effects that you wouldn't get if you didn't put the two together. To explain that a little bit in just the ATP side of things, red light therapy is really, really good at creating new ATP. It's like recharging ATP. PEMF therapy is really good at allowing the cells to use that energy. So again, you can charge up your cells as much as you want, but if they're all sticky and not able to use it, then it's just going to leak out. The PEMF therapy is able to prepare that cell to use that energy. So using them two together, if you're already sitting in front of a red light therapy device in the mornings and stuff, like, you should get a PEMF mat, because you can do the same. You can do them at the same time. You're not adding any time in. You'll find that the benefits you're getting are like tripled.
I've got a good live up with me last Sunday night on my PEMF bed with my red light therapy. Go and watch that.
Yeah, that's it.
I was like a pig in mug.
Again, these ones will you can see, when we send round, but it just to emphasise that the benefits of the PEMF, the benefits of the red light therapy, and when you combine them together, you get this like third layer of benefits that you'd get from grounding and standing in front of the sun. So it's, these things again are there to replicate nature, but also to bring some kind of nature back in through tech. Sounds a bit strange, but works.
It's necessary when they're trying to block out the sun, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. When that starts to, exactly, it would be much more reliant. I was listening to someone's talk the other day about red light therapy, and they were talking about the artificial light as well, because these artificial lights that we're all in are just as damaging, like way worse for us than anything else, because it's just artificial. So we're not only getting a lack of sun, we're getting all this nasty stuff that we're just like, our bodies are just in turmoil. Things like ice baths, they're a stressor of the body. Great, I like my ice bath. I don't use it for like frozen shoulder or anything like that. I use it really for the mental clarity it brings. But PEMF can be really good when it comes to ice baths for like recharging the body afterwards. Anybody that says they get up at 6 in the morning, they go to the gym, they have a sauna and they have an ice bath and they feel great for the rest of the day is lying, because they have done a gym session, they've then done a sauna and an ice bath, which are two stressors of the body, and the way they work is they stress the body goes into fight or flight and it creates all this great stuff. But it does make you feel pretty tired afterwards. So things like PEMF therapy are great for then, and red light are great to like recharge you afterwards. You can do it before or after. But I would recommend doing like PEMF for 10 minutes after all of that, and then you will feel great the rest of the day. You will feel more energized. HBot and PEMF, anybody that sees, if you want to follow me on Instagram after this, I've just got HBot installed in my house on trial for 3 months. I love HBot, but we are looking at putting our mats inside HBots, which sounds scary, but we're going to...
Sorry, what is it?
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy chamber. So high pressure, and then delivering oxygen. And so you can see my legs in this one. This is the same sort of thing. When it comes to like a HBot will only work if your cells are showing enough to deliver oxygen to the rest of the body. So if you can imagine the blood sample that I had before that was all sticky and stuck together, you put somebody in a HBot and you're relying on their body to use all that oxygen, it's not really going to do a lot. So what we're finding is people that are doing 10 minutes of PEMF before a HBot, the results are just tenfold again. So you're preparing the cells to then go and use something like hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So a big thing for me at the moment is going to all these biohack centres, all these clinics, all these longevity centres. It's amazing to see all of them popping up on every street corner at the moment. But what do? They buy a sauna, they buy an ice bath, and if they've got enough money, they buy a HBot. But PEMF should be their like first cornerstone. Like prepare the cells, then get them in all these things. Again, the combination of the two together. PEMF in saunas even works. So I've got a sunlight in there. We've been testing our mat inside saunas because like infrared saunas obviously don't get as hot, so it's better to put technology in them. Again, it's more about kind of re-energizing the cells, re-energizing the body once you've gone through a sauna. My house is like a little wellness center. I've got a heated sauna as well. Honestly, it's ridiculous. But I combine all these therapies and it's great, and I don't overdo it either, because you get these people that kind of like over biohack. Just be sensible with it.
Where are you?
In Kent. Yeah, I know. I've got people starting to turn it into a little wellbeing centre soon. PEMF and massage, we see this quite often. Our low intensity PEMF devices you can use and you can't feel it. So people are putting them on top of a PEMF mat, putting a towel on top and doing massage on top. What they're finding is they're able to relax the body more, again, oxygen delivery. One of the first things you notice with PEMF therapy, if you've never used it before and use it, so if you do get a chance to use one today, check out your sleep tonight. Like if you're using a tracker, if you're just, you do it, know how you sleep, see how you wake up the next day. Usually people fall into such a deep sleep, especially after the first use of PEMF therapy. So that's usually what I say to people, although you can't feel this, come back in the morning and tell you how you slept. And then they're just like, oh, I slept amazing. I told you would. So a good thing with PEMF massage, you want someone to go away feeling better, sleeping better, and that's another way that you can do it. I won't labour these ones, but nutrient absorption, again, there's no point in spending all this money on supplements. There's no point in doing these IV drips if your cells aren't ready to absorb the minerals. You're just throwing money away. Like, if you're chronically sick and using an IV to make you better, you need to work out why the cells are sick, why the body's sick before, it's just... and PEMF therapy, again, is a good way of doing that, or even just grounding before doing these things. Like, I can't labour the point enough, really, that it's about preparing the cells and making sure the body's ready to absorb those minerals. Philly, that's what you should be doing with the with the sleep and the controller. So it has about a 2 metre radius, as I've shown you a minute ago. If you put that to your side of your bed, 2 people, put it in between you, and it will just do the 2 of you. There was a point in my life where I couldn't sleep without it, and I've had to kind of wean myself off it, but just because I know it's there, and I know it just, for me, it just switches me off. I've got a very active mind.
What do you mean, like as in just to help you sleep?
So it runs at delta frequencies. I should probably explain that. It runs, so 1 to 4 hertz are the delta frequencies, and that's what, if we are in deep sleep, that's where we should be. And if you've got a tracker on, when you get that 1 hour of deep sleep, that's because it's measuring the delta frequencies. So putting a device next to you which is creating a magnetic field that's pulsing in those 1 to 4 hertz, it just influences your brain and your body to kind of fall into sync with it. It's like listening to the beats at that frequencies, and then your brain's almost like slowing down to it. So it's a really good way of doing that, and obviously you don't have to put things in your ears, or it's just working in the background. So yeah, PEMF therapy is amazing on its own, but stack it with other biohacks and things that you're using together, it can just emphasize those benefits of those different technologies. Just a little bit about Accelerate. Here's my plug. We cover the home and the high intensity side of things. I've tried to create a range of PEMF that just caters for everybody, and it's easy to use. It does what it says on the tin. So that's a little bit about us. I do have a podcast too called the PEMF podcast, and it has turned into a bit of an animal that I never knew it was. It started off as me and Josh in the corner, just chatting amongst ourselves, educating people about PEMF therapy. And we've had like Professor Green, we've had all sorts of people on the podcast that we never thought we'd encourage on. But it's a great source to go to learn. If you want to take a real deep dive into PEMF therapy, then that's a good start. And obviously the Wellness Way podcast, you guys should listen to the episode of me on it and the blood testing one, because it really shows you live, Philly's live blood and what it was doing and how it was reacting. But yeah, that's me, to be honest. No worries.
And we are so privileged that he's brought the beds here today, and you can just try them free of charge. And do you know, this is, I'm not a biohacker, as many of you know. It shows. No, it doesn't. But my deepest regret, my mother would have been 100 this year, and had she still been alive, I could have bought her technology that could have transformed her life when she couldn't get out of bed and when she couldn't walk and she couldn't do anything. And I think, you know, having always stepped away from the biohacking field, for me, this is one of the most important parts of a healing journey, especially for older people that cannot get out. I'm definitely going to use it because, my God, I am so fed up of putting my bare feet into the snow and watching them turn white, and I don't need to now because I have this. And I'm incredibly grateful that you have spent so much time and so much effort on this technology. You worked for 8 years on bringing this technology to us. And I think, you know, especially for people that have older parents or, you know, grandparents in their lives, this is something that could absolutely transform their life and keep them going and keep them grounded when very little else can in this world that we live in. And I'm so grateful to you for bringing the mats along. Go and get your bodies on them. But before you, Andy Smith.